But you never know that you could. And when you feel that way, ain't it good, good dancing in the red and gold. Dancing in the red and gold.
What's up, Faithful? Welcome to the 49er Faithful UK Live. As always, I'm your host, Paul Hope, and I'm sure the man sat next to me needs no introduction. It is, of course, my good friend Lee Gowland.
Now then, everyone. Now then, Paul. How are we doing, mate?
Not bad. So, Lee, here we are again, 8 p.m, a Wednesday, before a starry night. We can't believe our luck, because joining us tonight, buddy, we have the lead singer of The Gathering of Strangers, the one and only Conor Rabone, is live on the 49er Faithful UK. What's up, Conor?
Hi guys, thanks for having
Conor.
me. It's great to be here. It's been long overdue, I think.
How did it
Yeah,
feel
definitely.
listening to the song as you were sat in the back room? Because we have heard that song so many times and we still love to go live on a Wednesday. And as I said to you off air, we've got Red Jet Shell, who's in San Francisco. She already knows the words, Conor. I've printed them off just in case, because I have a question for Lee when you jump off. But as you can see, it's made an impact on both sides of the pond. So we do appreciate you jumping on, buddy.
Yeah, amazing. Hello to Red Jet Shell. Yeah, thank you so much. So it's such a weird feeling knowing, people so far away love the chat just as much as we do over here. But I think it's awesome seeing the track on that on the intro. Probably one of the biggest things that I've always wanted is, like, apart from to play all these big stadiums, I love the idea of getting music on like films and TVs and adverts and all that. I just like that feeling to see it on something like that. It's kind of like a little taster of that kind of feeling, and yeah, it's great. So thank you so much for using it.
So I've got to say, Conor, when were you over in the stadium? So last year I got over for 2 games at Levi's, and when I heard Red and Gold being played, it almost felt as though I was home.
Yeah.
It gave us that homely feeling, because I knew it was an English band. They're playing your song at Levi Stadium. Everybody loves it. Everybody sings to it. And it just kind of makes you feel at home from a British perspective.
Of course, yeah. It's a weird feeling. I mean, like we've said before, like we were never real massive NFL fans before this song, and we kind of wrote this song not having NFL in mind. So to then realise that this great team, playing these colours, reaching out to them and then being so, great about it and using it it was a real surreal feeling. And it's not something that, a lot of bands get the opportunity to have. You don't hear every day that an unsigned band who are trying to make it get their songs played in stadiums all over the world. So for us to fall into that category and get it played in a stadium like that is very very surreal, but just a really amazing feeling.
Yeah, it was quite fortunate, really, that you created a song called Red and Gold rather than, say, Blue or Yellow. Had it been Blue or Yellow, it might have been picked up by the San Diego Chargers, or I should say the LA Chargers, and they don't have a fan base, so nobody ever heard that song. It had been played to the players only, so it was quite fortunate that the 49ers generally have pretty much a maximum capacity crowd week in, week out. When we playing well, we do.
Of course.
Go back 5, 6, 7 years, you could easily get a ticket on game day for like $10 because we were pretty poor. Yeah.
We came into it at the right time then.
You did. Oh, definitely. Without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
So there's a lot of love in the chat. We've got Conor Ryan. He's liking that your name is spelt the same as him. He's saying that you've got a fair few bangers, The Gathering of Strangers. So you've kind of become our adopted band. So you said at the start there, Conor, that you kind of wanted to see your songs used. Now, Lee Gowland, who sat next to me, he is the technical wizard. So he reached out to you guys and said, can we use your song? Now, I'll be honest, we were blown away when you gave us permission. At the bottom of every show, we always fly the banner that it's your song. We always tell people. We had Patrick Willis on a couple of weeks ago. I shared onto Instagram, tagged the song in, as I always do, and he reshared that to his Instagram feed. So I straight away messaged you. But the fact that you allow us to use this song kind of means a lot to us. And then I remember when you came to the official watch party in London last year when we had Joe Staley. Now, you said you're not big NFL fans, but you guys totally got involved that night. I know we didn't win, but you were partying with us, and at the end of the night, we were all singing and posing for photos. That must have been an awesome experience, kind of knowing that we all knew who you were. We knew the song, and there you were in London, the gathering of strangers with us strangers bouncing around to this wonderful game of American football.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like before we weren't massive, but I mean, we definitely are now. I think seeing what such an amazing community that this game brings, and this team especially, so welcoming, especially to us and probably all the fans in the UK and all over the world. Such a great feeling to be, part of it, and we're running with it now. Like I watch the games and all that, and I keep track with it all. And last season was a really great season for the Niners. Obviously not how it ended, but like for us and the exposure that it got, and you guys being on board with it so much. I mean, of course we're going to let you use it. It's like we love that song so much as a band, but to see other people loving it just as much and using it in their own way, it's just real. It's quite emotional, and it's a really amazing feeling. And we, like I said, we can't thank everyone enough. Like, and we're so glad that everyone loves it just as much.
And you rock the Niners gear when you perform, and that took it to another notch. Now, I'll be honest, in the run up to the Super Bowl, you were also gracious that you guys were being interviewed by BBC. There was a hope that you'd get flown out there, and I think a lot of the news stations picked up that red and gold was what the team ran out to. Yet you still shouted our community out. I've read an article where you were saying about the UK faithful using your song, the fact that you get a lot of love from the community. And it's things like that that me and Lee appreciate, because we have put a lot of hard work into this community. We are two fans at the heart of it. And it's interesting because the Gathering of Strangers began, if I've done my research right, in 2018. And believe it or not, Conor, that was when I met this man for the first time in Manchester as well. So I met Lee Gowland in Manchester in April 2018. So today I was doing my homework and I was like, this is crazy, because I'm right in thinking you guys met at university in Manchester in 2018. That's where it all began.
That is the one. That is the city of dreams. We love it up there. Manchester's such a great city. So for that to work out like that, that is amazing. Manchester's such a great city for the music, and it did bring us together. So yeah, that's quite strange. How come you guys were in Manchester? What was that? Is that anything to do with NFL as well, or?
Yeah. So we ended up going to the Brotherhood pub for the draft back in 2018. Okay. So that was the April. We were actually there twice. We were there twice in 2018. So we were there in the April for the draft. And then because it was such a good venue and they were able to show whichever game we wanted to see, obviously the Niners game, even if we weren't on TV, we went back in the October and we went back to watch the Niners against the Bucks. Unfortunately, we got beat that day. And one of our members brought his son, who was a Buccaneers fan. But yeah, so we went to Manchester twice that year to have meetups there. And it was the first time I met Paul. And I think the same day I met Paul was the same day I was inducted into the world of Brewdog. So I can't remember that much about that day. I can remember a lot about the day after. Not feeling particularly well.
Yeah, we've had a few nights like that for sure. I think that one at the London watch party, we were like that. We were so engrossed in such an amazing night with everyone that, to be honest, I forgot that we didn't win. It was such a great night that I just presumed we would have won, because it was such a great night and everyone was so kind and just in such a great mood that it baffles me that we didn't win that night. It was just such a great night.
So when I was when I was putting together the show in our closed Facebook group, I used this photo, which was from the Super Bowl meetup in Leeds. Everybody started saying, Conor, shall we drop our photos? And that night, you guys must have paused for so many photos in London, because everybody started dropping their Gathering of Strangers photos, which kind of made me feel quite good. Because as you said, as much as we lost, that night was unreal. And I remember you guys kind of coming in and standing to the side. And then obviously Joe Staley was awesome. And one of my favourite memories from that is just as we were all leaving, I think Paul Scrimshaw got his phone out, started playing Red and Gold, and we all started singing Red and Gold. And the next morning I was like, as if that really happened. We've had Joe Staley in London and we've had the band. And then you turned up in Leeds as well for the Super Bowl, which obviously didn't end the way we expected. But the reason I've mentioned those two, 2018, there was about 8 or 9 of us, Lee, in Manchester. And that's where this community began. So you've kind of seen where we've come from, Conor. You've seen like where we were, 600-700 people in London over 2 venues was the stuff of dreams, where in 2018 there was 8 of us in a sports bar.
Madness, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
just
definitely grown.
You just see how it grows, and it's such a great, seeing NFL grow in this country. Like, even from the time I've been known, it's great to see. So I'm so glad it's working out for you guys, and I'm so glad to be part of it.
So, Lee,
so what
do
you
have
mentioned
any
earlier
questions?
about so what not entirely a question, a statement rather. So what you mentioned earlier about the meetup, even though we didn't win, it was a good night anyway. Twice in the last 5 years, we've all gotten together for Super Bowls, and we've lost them both. And it does help you get over that loss, because you're there with a load of other people who are going through exactly the same thing. Whereas back in 2012, I was just sat in the house watching the Ravens beat us, and that was a devastating defeat. The first defeat we'd had in the Super Bowl, and there was nobody to talk to. There was nobody to basically sit there and vent with.
Yeah.
So I think these meetups, the more a therapy session, which is what we generally call our podcasts, the therapy session. And I think that's a good thing about the community that we've got as well. We can all share in both the euphoria of victory and the depression of defeat as well.
Yeah.
So start with the questions then. Do you want to tell us exactly how the 49ers reached out to you? Who was it that reached out to you? And what was the initial thought process in what they wanted to do?
Well, it's completely different. How we actually reached out to them initially. We obviously wrote the song, and we knew it was a great song, and we very proud of that song, and it's got this obviously an anthemic feel to it. And originally it was my dad that said, "Look, it's a great song. Let's try and push it somewhere." And we were actually looking around all like UK football teams and rugby teams and whatnot, and nothing was quite fitting. And then I've actually got an American friend who I work with, and he mentioned, "Look, there's this team, San Francisco 49ers. They play in red and gold, and why don't you reach out to them?" And obviously, I was like, "Well, yeah, I can send something, but the likelihood of them replying is very, very low." But I got it together, and I found a little email somewhere, and I sent the email, and I didn't hear back for a while, and then the email just found its way up, and then eventually we got an email back, and they just said they loved it and that they wanted to start using it, and they wanted to start playing it around the stadium and using it on their social media, and it just spiraled from there, and our minds were kind of blown at that point, and we were like, "Oh, this is actually really happening." And then not until they actually sent us a video of it playing live in the stadium did we realise how real it was, and it was amazing to see. And it's one of those moments in your career, I guess, where just a little bit of luck, I guess, and it's just taken us that far. And the rest, the rest is history with that.
So I'm assuming that you've actually been to Levi's and seen it live.
Well, that was very at the start. It wasn't really very regular, but obviously now through the seasons, because I think this is now the 3rd season that it's getting played. We've been told that it now gets played at every home match, and I think it's mentioned that it's the tune that the Gold Rush cheerleaders run out to now. So we're not complaining about that, I don't think.
No, I wouldn't complain about that either.
Yeah. But
I've met quite a few of those, and I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, like I said, this is the beauty of this song. The whole 49ers community is really got on top of it, and that's why we love it so much. Like I said, it getting played at the stadium, the cheerleaders, they're playing it and they're using it on their social media. You guys, other 49ers pages and all that, and fans, and they're listening to it, and we have people showing up to our shows who at first have only heard that red and gold song, and then we create a fan base from that. So it's been amazing to see.
I'm sharing the photos, Lee, because the community are loving it. And what I do after
Yeah.
the show, Connor, I normally do a screen grab. I normally
Yeah.
use red and gold, and then the link afterwards,
Okay.
because we always try to get the repeat views up. And I said to you off air, in our house, Tracy will kill me for sharing this, but we do tidy up Saturdays. And when it's my
Yeah.
turn on the Alexa, I get rid of Taylor Swift, the girls' rage, and I ask Gathering of Strangers to be played. And I'll be honest, I only found out about you guys through that song, but I like
Okay.
listening to all the songs now. And when I'm in the car, I'll put you guys on. And like you said, I kind of feel that growth and seeing you guys being picked up by the record label and seeing, you know, the Deaf Institute. I watched the Super Bowl there a few years before I met Lee, the Eagles,
really?
Patriots
Oh, wow.
Super Bowl. And I was gutted that I couldn't get to that one because we had the London watch party. So I'd
Yeah,
kind of
of
already
course.
booked the tickets for there. But it is part of our vision that we're going to organise a 49er Faithful UK meetup at one of your
Yeah.
gigs. We're all going to rock
Oh,
up in the jerseys. We're all
Yeah.
going to sing the song. Because when we went out to San Francisco last year, there was 40 of us. And when we heard the song being played, like Lee said, it just felt like, because we had that connection, because only a few weeks earlier we'd been in London with you guys in the October, the November, we flew out. And like you said,
okay.
Lee, hearing it, we knew it was going to get played, but still hearing it was kind of like those goosebump moments. And then seeing you guys rocking the Niners gear always makes us smile, doesn't it, Lee?
Definitely. Without a shadow of a doubt, it does. Yeah, it gives me a warm feeling every time I see it. And you're right, when it came on the stadium last year, when we were there for the Bucks game, straight away you could see everybody turned around and looked across the field up at the scoreboard, because we kind of expecting a video up there, but it was just the music coming out. But you could see everybody smiling as soon as we heard it because it was something that you recognised. So I've got another question for you. What does the future hold for the Gathering of Strangers as far as a collaboration with the San Francisco 49ers is concerned? Do they still engage with you, or are they more standoffish now that they've done the initial part that they've agreed to play your song at the stadium?
I mean, the connection's definitely still there. We speak to him. I mean, it's not like it's a regular thing that we speak to him every day. I think obviously time difference is a tough one, and the contacts I have are obviously very, very busy, but that we're constantly in communication about like whether we can get ourselves out there and take the instruments with us as well. And they talk about that there's so many chances for like music to be played, whether that's before, during, or after. It's such a big. It will be a big thing if we do it, but it's constantly in the conversation. I think that's what we need to do at the end of it. We've built this song up so much that we need to go out there and play it, basically. And obviously
definitely.
play some shows around there as well. I mean, that would be the pinnacle. That would be amazing. And yeah, I was desperately hoping that the Niners would be at the London games this year, because that would have been it for us. That would have been amazing. But you never know. Hopefully in the future, maybe they'll come over at some point.
I would expect them to come next year. But
You reckon?
bear in mind, I have been saying this for the last 3 years now. And I've been wrong every year. It's given some duff information, but yeah.
Is
I
it
expect them to be
random?
over
I'm
soon.
not sure how it works. Is it just random?
Yeah, yes and no. So Levi Stadium are going to host the Super Bowl in 2026, and because of that, they have to give up one of their home games for an international series game.
Oh, okay.
But it could be that they go to Mexico instead of the UK, because they also have marketing rights for Mexico. They've played in Mexico twice in the last few years, but as the road team. So we are kind of hoping that when it's the home team, they bring the team to London and play there. Because
I mean, that makes
overdue.
sense.
It was 2013. Yeah,
definitely makes sense. So there's so they're giving up a home game. Did you say, for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, home game. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, hopefully the song lasts till then.
Well, we'd hoped it was going to be this
think
year
it will.
because the Niners have 9 home games, and this weekend the Vikings, who were playing in London, we were due to play them on the road. So we were all getting excited because, like you said, if this weekend in London, I think there's a lot on for the Jets fans and the Vikings fans on the Saturday. So if the Niners came across that connection you've got straight away, we would think, right, something's got to be put on the Saturday. But we'd hoped it was going to be last year for the Jags game, this year for the Vikings game. But like Lee said, the international series games could actually mean Mexico. And if we have anything to do with it, the song isn't dying off, Connor, because, you know, even our little gathering, we've got 1,000 subs on YouTube. You know, we've got 5,000 members across different platforms of
Yeah.
social media. We always share the song. And as Red Jet Shell said there, from Patrick Willis being on the show to you, we thought we couldn't get a bigger guest than Patrick, Connor. And then you kindly agreed to step on. So we do appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm bigger than him, but I'll take it. Maybe on a different level. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Like I said, I'm always willing. You guys have been great to us, and yeah, I'm always willing whenever ready. Is there any other watch parties this year? Was it just the one?
So just the one official watch party, unless we get to the playoffs, and then I would imagine there'd be one for the NFC Championship game, and when we get to the Super Bowl and win it this year, another one for that as well.
Absolutely.
But there's some localised ones that we arranged. So there's one for the Chiefs game up in Newcastle on October the 20th, and that's actually been arranged by the Chiefs UK fan group, and they've invited us along. And at the moment, I think we're going to outnumber them 2-1, maybe it's even 3-1. So it should be a good night, that one. And obviously, it's local for me and Paul, so it's dead easy for us to just pop up the road to see that one.
Yeah.
We also have a meetup, I think, in Leeds for the Bucks game,
Yeah, November the
and
10th.
potentially we'll also have one in Belfast or just outside of Belfast for the same game as well, the Bucks game.
Oh well.
So we've
amazing.
got localised meetups rather than watch parties.
Yeah.
We call ours a meetup to differentiate between the official San Francisco 49ers watch party, and we've always called it a meetup, whereas over in the States they use watch party, and we think it's a good differentiator. And what you find at meetups, you drink a lot more than what you do at watch parties because it's more like a normal sporting event that you go to with your friends. So you do tend to drink a lot more for some reason. I don't know what that is.
You don't have to behave as much.
Yeah,
Exactly.
What happened similar to your story, obviously Lee is the president and he runs this fan chapter and he had the links with the 49ers. But when the UK marketing rights were awarded to the team back in 2022, Nick Clark, who I'm sure you've met, he reached out to Lee and asked to have a meeting with me and Lee. Now, I'll be honest, Connor, I run the social media, so I thought, what have I done wrong? Have I posted something I shouldn't have?
Yeah, you offended them.
And we went on this Zoom call and he was basically saying, well, we want to throw a watch party. Is it something you guys have done? Now, what we used to do was when the fixtures would come out, we'd pick a city, Newcastle, Manchester, Liverpool. We'd pick a game. We'd all travel and watch one game a year together, because being an NFL fan in the UK can be a lonely existence. And then since the Niners have come along, obviously you were there last year in London, they've took it to another level. I mean, having you guys there, Joe Staley there, and then this year in London with Frank Gore, who had only just been elected to the 49ers Hall of Fame on the Monday, and on the Sunday he's partying with us. And I'll be honest, Connor, I didn't have on my bingo card Dancing to Journey, Don't Stop Believing with Frank Gore, with 500 people watching, but I ticked that one off. And as someone who doesn't drink and was totally sober in that moment, and given I am 44, might not look it, but I am. I was thinking the dad moves were coming out, Connor.
No, yeah. He had to do it whilst he was there. I think that was going to only happen once, so make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. So, Connor, excuse me. You've got I'm not going to call it an unusual day job. You've got quite a unique day job. How does that fit in with your night job?
Yeah, that came out quite abruptly when I was doing all the radio interviews. I think they latched onto that quite quickly. But yeah, during the day I work in the funeral business, which is quite bizarre to a lot of people. It's a family friends business that I've known for years, and they're brilliant family, and they're great because they love the music as much as I do, and they allow me to have time off when I need it for my shows, have time off when I need it for the studio, and they all come to the shows when they can. So it's a great little family, even though it's funeral directing, but it's definitely a step away from what I do. I have to tie my hair up, feel smart, and then in the evenings I can take it down and get on the guitar.
Yeah, it's definitely chalk and cheese, the two polar opposites of what you'd imagine. But to be honest, I mean, one of the guys I used to play football with, he's a funeral director, and he's one of the happiest people I've ever met. And I once asked them, how do you get through these funerals? Because obviously they're really upsetting for the families that being there. And I don't know if a lot of people are like me. I mean, I kind of feed off other people's emotions. So if I see a bunch of people getting upset, then I feel upset as well.
Yeah.
And he says, no, you just have to basically compartmentalize it, go in, do a job, because they want to see you. Obviously not break down for a start. They need you for the strength, and that's what you're there for. You're there for the families to get them through this difficult period. I can see why the two fit together.
Well, yeah. Well, the lads I work for or work with are all about the same age as me, so I'm not working for people who are a bit different to me. We're all very similar, and actually, they're all very much into NFL. Like I said, one of them was an American guy, and we have each other's backs, and we get on really well. We are friends at the end of the day, and you've got to know how to switch it on, and you've got to know how to switch it off. I think that's very important. And when you switch it on with the families, and you, like you said, you are there to be their strength. But as soon as you're not doing that part of the job, you got to switch it off, and you got to be able to talk about NFL when you're on the journey home, and you've got them to lean on, and like I said, it is weird to say, but it is a great job, and it's a very rewarding job. So yeah, I guess that's why I'm still doing it, because I enjoy it, as weird as it is, because of the guys that I'm working with.
To be fair, I'd seen those interviews. Now, Lee, I know you're a married at first sight kind of guy. We watch Love Is Blind in our house, Connor. When I'm watching NFL.
Why don't you?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I'm going to link in. So on the latest Love Is Blind, the UK edition, there was a young lad on there, Freddie, who was also a funeral director. And there was a lot of talk on social media. He was of a similar age to you. And that was a good talking point for me with my good lady, because I was like, that band that I listened to? And I was able to explain. And she was a bit like Lee. She was like, I wonder how that works with his day job. And then what I wanted to ask you is, when I met you guys in London, Tom, Peter, Andre, Bruce, you all came across as really tight-knit and friends. And obviously, there was a lot of people getting photos with you. And I'm pretty sure it was Tom I was talking to at the bar. And he was just saying, this is mad. How do you guys know who we are? And we were like, this is mad that you're with us. And he was saying that they're so grateful, like you said, about the support you've had from the community, and the fact that you took the time to take the photos and partake in the drinking, because there was a lot of drinking that night. And I just wanted to ask, are you as close as what you appeared that night then? Like, are you really friends, or is it just kind of like a band that plays music together?
No, we're best friends. We are absolutely best friends, 100%. 100%. We met in Manchester, and obviously we all actually went to Manchester for music. We studied our own instruments, and I think within the first month of being at university together, they told people, like, you got to get in a band and just play some music. And that group of friends, they're the people that we met in the first month, and from then on, we spent every day together, and we moved in together. We had a house together for a few years. We had a drum kit in the living room. We were, honestly, the stories, we've had a drum kit in the living room. We'd set up the amps in the living room, and then we'd get the police called on us. The police were knocking at our doors. Honestly, some days you get the police coming in, being like, guys, you can't be doing this. And we were like, we're just jamming. We're just best friends jamming. But the neighbours were complaining because there's a drum kit going off. And us uni students probably went on a bit too late, probably after 12. So maybe we deserved it a couple of nights. But yeah, like I said, and that was a fair few years ago. And we're not actually living close together at the moment, which is a massive shame. But we meet up. We try to meet up once a week, because we want to see each other, and we obviously want to keep the band tight and be writing. So absolutely, we are just five best friends, and I think that's what the beauty of this band is, and I think that's so important. Obviously, here are these bigger bands falling out and all that, and that's after years of touring. But I think we pride ourselves on the songs we make and the gigs that we do, just because we are so close, and I think that just helps so much. And we look forward to continuing doing it together, I think.
Looking at all the songs you've made outside of Red and Gold, if you could only pick one to basically try and sell to the audience, which one would you sell? which one would you say you need to listen to this song?
Well, it's a tough question because without the Niners, I would always say Red and Gold because we love that song anyway. I think we've made the songs after it off the back of it. To answer your question, I love the song World Stop Turning. I think there's a story behind it, and I think the way we wrote that and the timing that we wrote that meant a lot to me. But we wrote Red and Gold during the pandemic. Actually, it was a tough time during the pandemic with everything closing down, and we couldn't see each other, and we couldn't play the shows. We had no gigs, and we didn't know when they were ever going to come back. So we knuckled down, and we said, right, well, we'll use this time when we can't do all that stuff to really think about who we are, think about what songs we want to be writing, think about what direction we want to be going in. And that Red and Gold came from that. And then from them, we were like, yes, this sounds good. We enjoy this, has the energy, has the sound. And the likes of My Thunder that came after it, Well Stop Turning, Deep Dark Waters, and so on, all stemmed from that song. So as well as it's done, it is actually a very important song for us because it set the basis for songs to come. And the songs that we have in our back catalogue that we haven't released yet, sounding along that vibe again. So I know I've gone off on a tangent a little bit.
No, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
But
and,
yeah, I'll
I
Red
wouldn't
and
worry
Gold.
about it being a hard question because when we had Patrick Willis on a fortnight ago, apparently I asked him a hard question as well because I give him a similar sort of scenario. You can only pick one out of a number of things. Which one can you pick? And straight away he says, gosh, that's a hard question, that.
Conor Ryan.
Might be getting a reputation.
So Conor Ryan, who's round the corner from me, Teesside lad, he said Cherry Red for him. That's the song that he likes to listen to.
Is that because it's got red in as well? I like the colour red for some reason.
And Dan has said that not only is the song Red and Gold good, but actually it was recorded on one of his favourite beaches. So, and I have to admit, the acoustic version that you shared recently, I think it was you and is it Andre playing it on the piano of Red and Gold, and you really stripped it down. I was all over that on the social media.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm sharing that all over because I love the song, but it kind of added a different element to it. So I did like that one.
me and Tom did. I don't know whether we did one on piano, but me and Tom we went to the Manchester Art Gallery.
I'm thinking of. I saw the setting. I thought there was a piano background.
Yeah.
There was the two of you, and it was really stripped back. And I shared that for about 3 or 4 days in a row. The community were like, "Okay, Paul, we get it. You like this song? We'll go and listen to it."
It was a beautiful moment, and we set up in the Manchester Art Gallery, and we were lucky enough to be able to do it there. But we didn't actually know until we turned up that the setting was actually going to be a red and gold background. I think it was red walls, and then there was gold frames, and it was just like, wow, this is pretty perfect for what we want. So yeah, it's amazing. We love doing them acoustic versions as well. I mean, we're musicians at the end of the day, so we just love rearranging things and bringing out new music in all different forms.
So our official photographer Wayne, who gives up his time at the watch parties, he's put Lady as one of his favourites.
Lady, wow, that's one of the older ones.
Oh,
yeah, it's mad. It's mad to see that people like different ones, like. Because as a band, you go up and down through the songs. So there's 5 of us, and one rehearsal, Tom will be, I don't like this one anymore. And then Andre will be like, it's great, we've got to play it, and it's up and down. So it's great to see how people still love the songs. It gives you hope. You got to keep on playing them because you don't know whether people are liking them. So it's great to hear that people are still liking the old ones. And
Connor's changed his answer, Lee. He's actually gone with nice hair.
Nice hair, wow. That is an old one.
Well, we share your links, you see, because when you gave us permission for the song, like at the bottom, we always promote you guys. And I think one of our giveaways, we actually asked people to subscribe to your YouTube channel. So then we started getting feedback, because I think a lot of our community thought you just had Red and Gold. And then when they went away and did their research and found out, so that was quite good when people are dropping in other songs of yours. And anything you need us to promote moving forward, I'm conscious that we've kept you a little bit longer than you said you could be with us, so we do appreciate that. But honestly,
I don't even know the time.
if you need us to promote anything, I mean, there was one of the concerts in the summer where you needed for hands to vote to get you on the stage.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
all over that. We shared that in our group, and everyone was going on and sharing it. So obviously, anything that you need, just let us
Yeah.
know, and we would be happy to
You
help.
guys have been great, and obviously I'll always thank you, and I'll always like push you guys as well as much as you push us. It's great to you've been brought on board with such a great community, and I'm definitely an honest fan for life now, so I'll be around for a bit. So yeah, thank you so
Fantastic.
much, guys. I appreciate that. So
We look forward to seeing you at one of our meetups as well.
definitely, I'll
Not one
be
of
there.
our
And
proper meetups where we drink heavily.
yeah, I like the sound of that. And
It'll come with a health
hopefully,
warning.
hopefully you guys can get to a gig soon, and hopefully we'll have more gigs to announce, and we'll see you at one of those.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that would be great.
Amazing.
Thank you very much, Connor.
No, yeah, thank you for having me. Like I said, it's been an honour. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, buddy. And like I said, I'll keep sharing the links, and if you need anything in the meantime, just reach out, and we'll get you back on again. We'll get you on when we're in that Super Bowl run, as Lee said, and you can come on.
Absolutely.
Talk
We'll
football
be
with
there.
us.
We'll be there, definitely. Nice one, mate. Sweet. See you later. Thanks so much.
See you later, Connor. Thanks a lot.
So, Lee, how awesome was that?
It was awesome. He's
but-
a very down to earth bloke.
He is.
Comes
But
across really well.
hold that thought, because we've reached that time in the show,
Go on,
Lee.
then.
You know what I'm going to say. We have to tell
I know what
everybody
you're gonna say.
about our awesome partners. But rather than regurgitate my writing here, I'm just going to play the video.
Ready to generate more leads from your website, Google, and your social channels without having to spend money on ads? Our platform provides you with an easy-to-use communication stream that sucks in free leads from your website, Google, Facebook, and Instagram, enabling you to reply and convert them into customers from your computer or from our mobile app. We'll even turn your inbound calls into text message conversations, so you'll never miss another lead again. Once you've converted a satisfied customer, you can shoot them a Google review request with a click of a button, which will explode your positive reviews and increase your position in search engines. The system will also pull new reviews from Google and Facebook right into your conversation stream, where you can read and reply. Jumpstart your business by getting started today.
So we are back. That was Power Brand Systems. So Ty Alston has dropped a comment there, Lee. He loves to see that we're building the community. Red Jet Shell, I gave her the heads up that Connor was going to be joining us, and she's put there that we're making huge moves, and she's proud of us. I mean, Patrick Willis was pretty awesome. Frank Gore was pretty awesome. But actually chatting with Connor, because of where this journey started, and the fact that, I don't know about you, Lee, but I felt nervous tonight. Like, knowing that he was watching when we played his song, and then thinking, oh my God, like, I even downloaded the lyrics just in case we needed to kind of tip a nod to them.
So I don't know if I remember telling you this, but when I originally reached out to Connor to play the song, he was more than happy for us to play the full song during the episodes. But obviously, because of YouTube's copyright system, I had to keep it to 10 seconds, which is why it's only 10 seconds at the start, 10 seconds at the end. Otherwise, we could have had the full song playing on a much lower level during the whole show. But yeah, that's the reason I didn't play the whole song. But we could have played it today, and I could have dealt with that copyright strike. I could have gotten around that somehow.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, when they've got bigger and they've been signed. I mean, when I reached out to him to ask him on this week, because I've seen that Connor's jumped on with Baldy and the Big Fella, and he's done a couple of other podcasts, and we've always wanted to get them on, but I always wanted to kind of pick the right moment. He was nervous about joining tonight. He said that he would only come on for half an hour because he felt like he didn't want to talk football just yet. And that's why I was conscious of the time, because when I booked him in, I did say half an hour. And you would appreciate that, Martin, given the fact that Liverpool are playing at the same time. Martin dropped a comment earlier, Lee, saying that UEFA have really got to check with us first.
Yeah,
and
they do.
Justin, I know he's not here because he had to dip out of the chat, but as he said there, aren't we a gathering of friends at this point, which leads us nicely onto James. He's had a couple of rough days personally. He's dealing with a bereavement at the moment. and he's put that his Wednesday evening is about to be lightened up. So that's what the community's for. So we do appreciate you joining, James. And if you need anything, buddy, you know where I am.
Well, hold that thought, James, because we're just about to talk about CMC. It might not be getting that brighter.
Yeah, I was going to say I was just going to catch up on the chat because when
thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that I've missed. Actually,
what, Paul, when that came up, I was struggling to remember what you call those.
Oh, the super chat.
And then I finally remembered the super chat. It's an age thing.
So before we dive into CMC, Wayne has put there that he can't have the song "Nice Hair" as his favourite, as it wouldn't be appropriate. Yeah. I had to share that, Wayne.
You
Wayne,
and me both, buddy.
Wayne is still giddy because I don't know if you saw, he unveiled his Jordan Spectre, and I believe that he got one of the Crimson Niner Prisms where there's only 152 cards. So Wayne's got one of 152. So he has given me permission to share his unveiling video. I've also got permission off Ty Alston to share his unboxing because theirs are better than mine, Lee. I did mine live on air last week, so I can't really pretend to do an unboxing video when I did it live on the show.
Yeah, I was going to say when mine eventually arrives, I think I'll do it on the live. I'll do it on the live show. But don't. So you know what? I'm going to do this unboxing, and I'm one of the most emotionless people in the world. So don't expect excitement when I open it up.
Well,
it doesn't matter what's in there.
I remember the surprise party Andrea threw for you, and I was in on the secret, and you walked through the door, and like you said, you were just like...
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
So apparently, we can get permission from the band to play the full song, and I think you have got that permission, isn't it?
Yeah, I do. I do, but I think it needs to be formalised, and then we can do it. So one thing I was going to ask everybody that's viewing, because I doubt you've realised this, Paul, but this is the first live show where we're streaming in full high def. So before we were streaming in 720p, and this week is the first time we've done a live show streaming in 1080p. And that's not because we've paid for anything extra. StreamYard have actually upgraded the basic package, which is what we pay for, and they've moved it from 720p to 1080p. And I immediately noticed the difference when I did the edit from the podcast on Monday, the video edit, and put it out. And then I played it on the TV, and you could definitely see it was much sharper, much crisper. Apart from Gareth, who I'm going to have to check his settings, because he may not have set his up correctly, but his looked a little bit blurred.
I haven't
just be Gareth.
Had chance. Yeah, Giddy Gareth was giving you some stick in that podcast, wasn't he?
That's why I'm
the score prediction.
That's why I'm getting me one back.
But I haven't had chance to watch either of the shows back on the TV yet because I've been in the office. Redjet, I did see this, so she shared our Patrick Willis on her Instagram. She's put there that her hero was on with the both of us, and we both looked so happy. We were so happy, but hold that thought because Ty Olsen has put there that Patrick Willis could jump out of the box and you would still have the same reaction, Lee.
Yeah, I would, honestly. Well, I wouldn't because my back would be hurting.
So, yeah, apparently the viewers can see a crisper video, and Wayne has put there, it was set to auto and he's just switched. He says that you look great, but I look a bit blurry. It's probably my camera, Wayne. I need someone who knows what they're doing to come and set it up. So...
Well, if you go into your settings, Paul, and click on camera, it'll tell you what you're streaming in, either full high def or 720p.
Let's have a little look. It's full high def. So, for the technical people out there, I have a Sony camera that's above me, and it's plugged in, and I don't know. I've tried looking at the settings. You said something about auto exposure. You might have to drive down again, Lee, and just come and have a look at it, because I fanny on with it, I fiddle on with it, and it just doesn't seem to work. And then I tried the USB camera that I got recently, and the other night you were like, yeah, Paul, that's not working. And we tried for 10 minutes to battle with it, but I haven't had time.
So I've got to say, even though you put that on and it was quite a dark picture, it still looked a lot sharper than the one I'm looking at the moment. But the one that I'm looking at the moment, the reason it might not be sharp is because the autofocus might not be kicking in properly. And we can get that sorted as well.
So
should we talk football?
We should. Martin, there isn't a residency shop in San Francisco. It's solely online, but every now and again they do a pop-up. So, and there may be
Have they not opened a shop in Vegas?
Oh, I don't know actually. But Martin's not going to Vegas, is he? He's going to San
No,
Francisco.
he's going to San Francisco, yeah.
So we will have a look into it. But yes, we're 45 minutes in to a Wednesday show about football. So before we went live tonight, I don't know if you've seen Ed McCaffrey has done an interview this afternoon about Christian and the Achilles and the reason why they've gone and sought a second opinion. I didn't know whether you'd seen that yet before I went down the rabbit
I
hole.
haven't seen that one yet. Do you want to paraphrase for us?
So the 49ers have told Christian to rest. His dad has said that Christian spends more money than any athlete on the planet in looking after his body. And whilst they respect the team's position, there's not any controversy. He wants to get as many people's advice of what he can do. And obviously, Achilles injuries, as he said, are not straightforward.
Yeah, did he not reach out to you, Paul?
Well, I was going to say, Lee, I'm waiting for the call. I am waiting for the call. Now, the news broke that it was tendonitis in both legs a couple of days ago. So I shared that on the group. But a group member commented and said that John Lynch had mentioned it last week. Now, I don't recall hearing
he did.
it last week. But as I said to the group member, I just shared what I'd seen. But basically, the gist of it is the team have taken the decision that he's 70% at the moment. They want to put him on IR and get him up to 100%, and he needs to rest. But the reason he went out to Germany was to get an expert's opinion on if there's anything they could do. And it's a good interview, to be fair, with Christian's dad.
Yeah, so obviously he's already on IR, so they don't need to put him on IR. But before he can start training again, they have to activate him. And once he's been activated, I don't think you go back on IR. So I think it's a case of that they're trying to decide whether or not they do activate him, because it's a one-off thing. If they put him on IR, that's it, he's done for the season. Or keep him on IR for a few more weeks, or up to the bye week, and then see how he is then. Am I concerned that it's bilateral now? Not really. 1, 2 doesn't really make a difference. Apparently it's been like this since just after the Super Bowl. He hasn't particularly done much training since then, which is worrying in the fact that, I mean, he's been out, or he hasn't been doing anything for the last 6-7 months, and it's still causing them issues. But I know fine well what tendonitis is like, because I've got that on my left knee at the moment. So as soon as I did the Great North Run, I think I ran up until the Thursday after. Haven't been able to run since. As soon as we get off this broadcast tonight, I'll be sticking a pair of shorts on, going downstairs and icing my leg for the next hour or so to get rid of the pain. But it is painful, and it doesn't matter whether or not you're actually doing any sporting activity or not. Just walking about will be painful. It'll be causing inflammation.
So for those people who may not be fully aware, I've heard people say, can he not get a cortisone injection? He can get that in his heel, but he can't get that into his Achilles tendon because it'll just rupture. And Richard Sherman talked about that on his podcast this week, and he was on with his agent. And Richard's agent was saying that when he was in Seattle, when Sherman was struggling with it, and obviously he pushed himself to the point where it ruptured. Dre Greenlaw was suffering from tendonitis in the Achilles that he didn't rupture. So because his body was overcompensating, it caused a rupture. And like you said, I didn't have a history of any issues, and I went for a run. I just honestly felt like someone had tripped me up from behind. I heard the pop, and it's just, that's what you don't want to see. You don't want to see Christian push himself, and I think that's what Ed McCaffrey was saying. He needs to be protected from himself. He's really struggling with the rest element at the moment, and when you do have tendonitis in your Achilles tendon, as you've just said there, you've got to ice it up, you've got to put heat on there, you've got to get the blood rushing through, because that's how you do the repair. But what I meant about putting him on IR, I think what Ed McCaffrey was saying is a lot of people have said, how come the team didn't come out with this earlier? And I think the problem was they were trying to manage it, and they've managed it up until the last point. So what he was saying is at that point they decided, right, IR, rest, and then we'll see what happens, because there was no need for the team to rush him out there. And obviously the way Mason's played these first 4 weeks, you could argue that the team have made the right decision.
I mean, to be fair, when did we put him on IR? Was it just before the first game or just after the first game?
I think it was it wasn't. It was in that window because in one of our drafts, I had first pick, so I took CMC.
Yeah, I took CMC as well. Yeah, so I know it wasn't just after the roster was announced. I think it was literally the day before or the day after that first game.
I think it was the day
can't
after.
remember which one it was.
I think it was after because we thought he might play. So James has jumped in there that all this talk in the chat of caps, he's going to order Fred Warner or a Trent Williams jersey. He needs some help deciding, so let him know.
Yeah, you need number 77, the Punisher.
But like you said, Lee, I'm not worried that it's in both because he probably already kind of had these issues, but it's now come to light. And I think it's the pain. It's a strange one because, as Ed said, you can wake up one day, you can walk down the stairs, you can be absolutely fine. You can go for a run, you can be absolutely fine. Then the next day, you can get the pain. And it's not one of these where it's just man up and suck it up or take some painkillers. It's a strange injury, an Achilles injury.
Yeah, so I remember a story about a British footballer. Well, actually, I'm saying he's British. I think he was an American. I'm trying to think of his name. He played for Birmingham. His partner was Karen Brady, who was the chairwoman of Birmingham at the time, I believe.
Wasn't he the Canadian
Paul
lad?
Pescalito.
Wasn't he Canadian?
Paul Pescalito. Canadian, was he?
Yeah, but that's the one. You said that name
Canadian
well.
or American. And he ruptured his Achilles getting out of bed one day. He just swung his legs around, stood up, and his Achilles went.
Yeah.
That's how easy it was.
That's what Ty's
that's
put
just
there.
because that's what I saw. I saw Ty's comment and thought, you know what? I remember Paul Pescalito did this. And it was dead strange. And ever since then, believe it or not, ever since then, every time I get out of bed, I make sure I wiggle my feet. I wiggle my feet before I get out of bed because I don't want to rupture my Achilles.
No.
And I know how stupid that sounds.
No, it doesn't sound stupid. I mean, all jokes aside, I know you and Brett like to give me a bit of stick. You know, as soon as it was an Achilles injury with McCaffrey, I thought, oh my God, you're going to have my life. But to give you some credit, the day that I did rupture the tendon and then we were watching the NFC Championship game, you guys jumped on a Facebook Messenger video call and you guys helped keep my spirits up. Obviously, you went out to Vegas. And I still remember you coming round with the draft cap, the flag. The first time I got a flag, and I'd been in the group for so long, was when you travelled down. And it's little things like that. And I think of my own setback and my recovery. Now, Christian McCaffrey, as his dad said, spends a lot more money than I do on looking after his body. And he's got, you know, the best medical science there, Lee. But it's a strange one. I mean, Rick has joined us in the chat there, and he said that he doesn't want McCaffrey to play this season. And he's put the reason why is he doesn't want something worse to happen. And it's a risky move. We're joined by Lee. Elson is in the house. I think he had a bit of chat with someone about McCaffrey. Where do you stand, Lee, with people talking about McCaffrey hid this from the team to get his contract and it's all a bit too coincidental and convenient? Because I've seen that in our group.
Yeah, it's a strange... I don't think he would have done. I think they'll have been aware, but neither McCaffrey or the 49ers front office realised potentially how bad this was going to be. I think exactly what John Lynch has said. They thought it was manageable, and as it turns out, it hasn't been manageable.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's been anything underhand done there. But yeah, I can see why people would think that. It's natural for people to be suspicious when you see something like this happen. Oh, he's just getting a brand new contract, with a load of guarantees in there, and then all of a sudden comes out with bilateral Achilles tendonitis.
So James has joined in, sharing his Achilles. So he put there, he snapped his left Achilles tendon when he was driving the coach back to the depot. He said all he did was move his leg, and it hurt like an absolute Samuel L. Jackson.
That would be a mother trucker.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, the thing is, when I shared that post in the group about, I think it was off Bleacher Report, about him having tendonitis in both, and I shared it, and the member of our community who responded and said, this is old news, I've seen it, and I said, oh, it's the first I'd seen it. And then he said something like he wasn't having a dig at the post, but he's sick of the noise of this and we need to quieten it down. And you know me, Lee, I take things to heart sometimes. And I thought, we never mentioned it on the pod. Sometimes, yeah. We never mentioned it on the pod. We never mentioned it on the pod last week. And tonight's the first time that we've really talked as content creators about CMC. So I don't think it's something that we've fueled the fire. But as Lee...
No, but it is topical and it is a 49ers show. So it would be wrong of us not to talk about it in some aspect. But yeah, I mean, the silver lining is Jordan Mason is looking unbelievable. He is. He's looking unbelievable. And I mean, I think we said it on the podcast show. If he continues in the same vein of form that he's in, he's due to do 1,900 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And if we can start to use Debo in the kind of role that we were using CMC in, which he's more than capable of doing, probably not to the standard of CMC, but not far off it, then yeah, I mean, we could have our two wideouts being Ayuk and Jennings, and Debo as a dual back with Jordan Mason, and then you've got your check down guy, because that's who Purdy's missing at the moment. CMC being a check down guy out in the flat to take the ball and then get the yards after catch. And I think that's more than a workable solution on offense. Not that we need it, because we're putting points on the board. I mean, like I said, Sunday's game, we were unlucky to come away with less than 40 points.
Yeah, we were. I mean, I've seen people... We talked a lot about Brock Purdy, didn't we, on our show? And I'm flying the banner across the bottom because the 49er Faithful UK podcast team back up to full strength, Lee. So we were joined by Nadji for the first time this
and
year.
They're all picking on me. All podcast long.
I wasn't picking on you, mate. I think Gareth was very giddy. But you talked about Brock Purdy there. A lot of people are saying he's missing CMC. He leads the NFL, Brock Purdy, in passing yards, yards per pass attempt, deep completions, deep passing yards. Sadly, deep passes dropped, and first downs. So like you said there, given that he's missing that kind of safety valve in CMC, it's been interesting to see Kyle Shanahan evolve this offense. Jordan Mason's on target, as you said, for all those yards, but also the most carries by a 49ers running back since probably the days of Frank Gore. Definitely the most under Kyle Shanahan. And Ty has joined in there. He's saying that Mason is capable. There was a few times on Sunday, Ty, where Mason was wide open, and if that was CMC, Brock Purdy's passing that ball, isn't he, Lee? But he seemed to hesitate a little bit and then took it and go. Maybe they just need to work on that chemistry a little bit more, do you think?
Yeah. So you mentioned about the drop passes, and I'm going to segue here, and I'm going to talk about something else that's just been announced either this morning or yesterday. I think it was early this morning. So Tariq Owens has been signed to the practice squad again. I wonder if this is the death knell to Ronnie Bell. See what I did there?
I saw what you did, mate. Brett Sinclair would be proud.
Yeah, he would be. I mean, Ronnie Bell, I actually expected him to get cut out of the 53. I didn't think he'd make the 53, and he did. I was quite surprised about that.
I didn't think he'd have made the 53, if I'm being honest.
He was particularly poor last season, and he just has not helped himself at all. And you know what Shanahan's like? Shanahan's got kind of a short patience with... I know he's no rookie now, but with younger players. And if you start to do stuff wrong, then that's it. You fall out of favour and he's gone. And I'm just wondering whether or not we could be seeing the end of Ronnie Bell. I know they rate him and they say he's very good in practice, but if you can't translate that to an actual regular season game, it doesn't matter how good he is in practice. He's useless to the team.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it, the Rams. Before I go down the Ronnie Bell rabbit hole, Lee is not sold on Mason when it really counts. He believes he's very one-dimensional and nothing different to the running backs we've had before. I disagree, Lee. So does Najee Kara. And I know Ty Alston disagrees, because I was quite excited to see Mason catch this one. I know it was chalked off, but it bodes well for me that that's a different side. I mean, I watched an interview where Jordan Mason said he'd spent £3,000 on a jugs machine in the summer because apparently Bobby Turner had said to him, if you want to take your game to CMC's level, what does CMC do that you don't do? And it was the catches. And like you said, with Ronnie Bell, what do you need your wide receivers to do, Lee? And that's catch the ball.
Catch
and
the ball.
Like you've said, Chris Conley, Joanne Jennings, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, if they're ahead of you on the depth chart, you get those opportunities. So I did see Owens had been added to the practice squad. I also saw that we'd brought back the linebacker that we'd released.
Yes, Jalen Graham. So that's a good one, that one. I was over the moon with that because I was gutted when we got rid of him. Because ironically, I think we picked him up as an undrafted free agent, and he looked better than what D Winters was, and had high hopes for D Winters. And I'm not saying D Winters is playing badly. I like him. I like what I'm seeing from D Winters. But Jalen Graham, yeah, I think bringing him back could be the death knell for DFF, to be honest, because he's been pretty poor this season.
I was just going to say, it's a good insurance policy.
Slightly against the Patriots.
He did, but not great.
Yeah, he hasn't been helping himself either.
Though it could be they're going to put DFF back on special teams, and I've seen
Possibly.
a few people say that Adam Graham, is that because Warner's injury could be worse than what we expected, so they've brought another linebacker in. I mean, again, it's Wednesday night in the UK. I'm not going to worry too much about Fred at the moment because I don't know about you, Lee. No news is good news, is how I see it in my household. But I think it was a solid piece to add. And like you said, I think we were devastated to see him go to Washington. The fact that he's come back in is a good pickup. And I know I interrupted you there, but yes, Ty, Jordan Mason needs to pass that machine on because Ronnie Bell definitely needs something.
He needs stick 'em. That's what Ronnie Bell needs, stick 'em. So actually, let's stay with wide receivers. Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
So apparently the Raiders are shopping him. Now, I was quite surprised about that because I could have sworn at the weekend they turned around and said, oh yeah, Devontae Adams is going to be out for the next 3 to 4 weeks with an injury. And then the day after it was like, oh yeah, we're trying to trade him while he's injured. So I must have misheard that. And I'm guessing he's not injured. And he is fit to be traded. Now, I think, I know I've seen receiver, everybody's seen receiver. He didn't particularly come across very well in the first few episodes. He came across as quite selfish, only interested in individual accolades rather than the team. But Barron, where he was at the Raiders, it was hardly likely they were going to get any team accolades anyway. So I can see his point from some perspective. I think he'd be a completely different player if he's picked up by a contender. That contender might be us, might be the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs had just lost Rice. Makes sense for them. Obviously, he's got the cap hit. I don't know how easy it would be to redo his contract. But ultimately, what you got from the first episode or two of Receiver was he wants to win a ring. And I would imagine as a 1 year loan, obviously it'll be more than 1 year that we haven't contracted if we do trade for him, he may redo to a really team-friendly contract.
Well, Pat McAfee, I was getting the train home tonight, so obviously doing what I do best, plugged into the podcasts, and they were discussing Devontae Adams, and they were saying, he can't go at the Niners because that wouldn't be fair, but apparently we have the most cap space this season.
Yeah.
So if any team's going to make it work...
But you know why that is, though, don't you?
Yeah, I know why that is.
Next year.
But they were talking the same as you. Most cap space now, 1 year rental, like the Sanders deal, is what they were talking about. I haven't looked into the logistics before everybody jumps on. Conor Ryan has jumped in the chat there. He thinks Adams to Dallas or the Jets.
So the thing with the cap space is we need to carry that over. We need to carry as much as possible over to allow us to get that first year in for Brock. And I think that's what the strategy is at the moment. So even though it does look as though we've got the most cap, if you look at it from an operational perspective this year, I don't think we do, because we are trying to keep that and not spend it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Steve O's put there that it's either the Jets or the Saints, and apparently it's pretty much what Adams has requested. Connor, you'll be the same as me. I don't want him to go to Dallas. Connor's dad is a Cowboy. My friend Chris is a Cowboy. If they get hold of Devontae Adams, I'm sure my friend Chris will let me hear all about it. But like you said, Lee, I don't know whether we need him at this point. If it was a straight up trade for Ronnie Bell, the money could work, I think we'd all take it. But
I'll tell you what, if Ayuk doesn't pull his thumb out in the next 2 weeks, trade Ayuk and get Devontae Adams.
well, you called it on our show a couple of weeks ago, and they talked about it on the McAfee show tonight, that it was apparently Steelers, Raiders, Niners, where it was going to be Ayuk to the Steelers, Devontae Adams to us, and then obviously the Raiders would get some kind of like compensation out of it. And apparently Steve was saying that the problem for the Saints is they only have 4 mil in cap space at the moment, which is not ideal, but it'd be interesting to see where he goes. I think trade partner wise, we're probably looking at a defensive end, and we said that before the season starts. I don't know at the moment. I don't think we do anything now, but obviously the Jets make sense because of Rodgers. Dallas, I don't know, give Dak another weapon. The Saints because of Derek Carr, but you got to love the NFL. You know, stuff like this happens. So I'm guessing you'd take him if it worked right.
If it worked right, without a shadow of a doubt, because I think he's a wonderful receiver.
So before we finish off, Lee, I didn't get a chance to do this on the pod the other night, so I'm going to share a photo now. So little old me was able to take part in the first Masters flag football tournament in Sheffield at the weekend. So it was for over 40. Yes, people, I am over 40. And I'm right slap bang in the middle. I played for the yellow team. The Geriatric Joesley was our team name. James Evans, who's a member of our community, was playing for another team. And I think you saw that I shared a photo in the group with me and James for the flag.
James Evans on there. I can't see him.
So James is possibly at the back somewhere, but James, this is, I believe, was everybody. Now, I said to the guys who put this tournament on that I would shout it out. Flag football took a bit of a kicking a few weeks ago. I think I was talking to you off air. So the finals were streamed. One of the commentators made some comments thinking they were off air, where it was calling into question the integrity of the game, saying that it wasn't as good as Contact and all the rest of it. I'm not going to repeat what the person said. But for me, the flag community is very similar to the 49er Faithful UK. I haven't played for 18 months. I rocked up on Saturday without a team. All these guys are still playing in the BAFA leagues. Everybody made me feel welcomely. I can safely say I won't be coming out of retirement, which Tracy will be buzzing about. I played 4 games in one day, and trust me, buddy, I have paid for that every day this week. Aching a little bit. But it was nice to finish off that chapter of my journey, for want of a better word. But I just said to the chaps who organised it that I would give them a shout out, and they've been good to they let me fly the flag at the weekend. And I was talking to a Steelers fan who loves Joe Montana, and Jay said, if we ever get Joe Montana to a watch party, he is coming. He said, I have to let him know. So I said I would shout it out live on air. So it was nice to talk football with other people in a different community. And obviously they know what we're doing. They know what we're trying to do. And yes, Connor, it was the old age pensioners league, as he keeps saying. But was there anything else that we need to talk about before we let these good people get back to the Champions League and everything else that's going on?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We've covered all the news this week. We had a really good interview with Connor. I'm going to go away and check some of those songs out. I did listen to the full album, and there was one song on there I did really like outside of Red and Gold, and I can't remember what you call it, which is like typical of me. I find a song, I like it, no idea what you call it. I know what it sounds like, but that's pretty much it. So
I was going to say, you normally share your songs with me. What's that song that you shared with me when you were coming back from San Francisco, not last year, the year before, and you played it on repeat? Oh, man.
Oh, God. Hang on.
Basically, you sent that song to me.
Flock of Seagulls.
Yep, that's it. It was the
Space Age Love Story.
Yes.
Or Space Age Love Song.
The orchestra version.
Yeah.
Now
the orchestra, with the Czech Philharmonic Orchestra.
You said you listened to that song on repeat
on a
10-hour journey, and you sent that to me. So when you find that song, is the reason I'm linking this in, let me know, because your recommendations have always been good, and that's one of my go-to songs now, especially if I'm feeling like I've maybe had a bad day at work and I'm travelling home on the train. I will listen to that song.
It's a really good song. I mean, I think I've explained this before, but it was just, it just felt right for that whole experience over in Vegas. The way the song is put together, it's in like a cinematic version of the song. So you get this slow build up, and then this crescendo. I can't even say it. That goes on, and it kind of felt like that. Once we found out at the start of April, there was like 3 weeks to get this all sorted to make sure we go over. Then you had the flight out there. My flight out there, my travel day to Vegas lasted 33 hours because I missed my connection at LAX, even though I landed 3.5 hours before my next flight. It took me 3.5 hours just to get through passport control, and then I had to go to a different terminal. So it was a really long travel day, but then obviously the next day I met Najee, so the pace started to pick up a bit, and then day 2 was the day where we were actually there representing the UK. Obviously we saw Eric Armstead come up, he did one of our picks, a couple of the people we sat with, they did picks, and then at the end of that day was basically, do you want to come back and watch it again tomorrow, and do you want to do the pick? So that third full day there was like, that's it, that's the pinnacle of it. And it was just a really good song for me. It was something that I could listen to all the way home, and I found it easy listening to. I can kind of do that. Once I like a song, I can just play it on repeat all the time.
Yeah, so I added that to my rotation at the moment. Have you seen Deadpool? Yeah, the third one.
No, not yet.
Right, I want to.
I haven't seen it yet.
There's a good song in there, so once you've seen it, let me know, because I keep listening to that song on repeat.
Yeah.
But the podcast crew will be back tomorrow. We will be looking ahead, Lee, won't we, to the Cardinals game, which we found out today is the Sky game in the UK, 9:05 p.m. So it's either going to be a hastily arranged mini-meet in Stockton, or I'll be using someone's Sky Go password because it's blacked out on Dizan. So, yeah, to be honest, I looked at the fixtures this morning because one of the lads at work, Rob, he's trying to get into the NFL. I think he's going to be a Patriots fan. I'll explain to you later why. And I was looking at the games and I thought, Cardinals, Niners, the Cardinals have started well. It's a divisional game. I thought... So I had a feeling we were going to be the Sky game, you know.
Yeah, you say the Cardinals have started well, but they're 1-3.
Yeah, but when I mean they've started well, you know, it's like in the NFL, like Kyler Murray's been getting some highlight plays. And that we all expected them to be 0-4. However, keeping our powder dry, I am confident ahead of the game. I haven't quite got my bold predictions yet, but I've got some stats which won't surprise you, Lee, about Brock Purdy and the Cardinals. But if people want to know more, they'll have to tune in when that pod goes live. Just wanted to say thank you, Lee, for joining me. It was an absolute blast. Man. Conor was absolutely amazing. We will definitely get him and some of the band back on. We will be back next week, 8 p.m. Topic and guest to be announced. We like to tease on this show, so keep those notifications switched on. As always, thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Tell your friends about us. And all that is left for me to say, until next week, Lee, is stay safe and go Niners.
Bang, bang, Nana gang.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in our heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, G. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going.